All right, I'm on the phone with Duane Crawford, the head football coach for the Ellsworth Eagles, as we are every Monday and Thursday. And, Coach, a tough loss against Orono on Friday night. Tell us what happened and some of the highlights, and we'll go from there.
Well, yeah, I mean, when we talk and we do these shows and, upcoming games and, how we're going to do against various teams there, but at where we are now with the kids we have, there are just some teams we don't compete with, and Orono was one of them, and we knew that going in. But, when I'm talking to you, I'm trying to be as upbeat as possible.
Sure.
And hopefully, we can get some good matchups here and there. And Friday night was one of those things that they've 16 seniors on the team. The backfield was bigger than any. Each of the players in the backfield were bigger than anyone we had on the team, and that's one of those games where they're bigger, stronger, faster, and there's just no way we could compete with them at that level. So, we had a couple of good things, and we had one really good drive that we scored on late in the second quarter, and we had an 80-yard kickoff return that we got all the way down to the 1-yard line. Unfortunately, we weren't able to push it in from there, which is disappointing, but especially after having a drive that went really well. And we had a fumble recovery that in the third quarter that we did pick up and take in for a touchdown. So some good things there, but overall, just on a man-for-man matchup, it's just not – we just couldn't compete with them. And we were down 2 starters going in and ended up being down 3. Connor went out with 2 minutes to go in the first half with a sprained ankle. So, that didn't help, and we played 3 quarters of varsity football, and then it was JV after that. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. We've got a lot of things we need to work on, both offensively and defensively. We get 2 of our starters back this week. Hopefully Connor will be able to go by Friday, and then it's a long bus ride to Houlton.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. So Houlton is a relatively new program as well, very similar to Ellsworth. What do you know about the Houlton Chartowners?
Well, they've been around for probably about the same time as we have. I think they came in maybe a year after we did, but they were playing football over in Canada for a while, so they had something that was established. But they're a good team. They're well coached. John Solomon, who was over in Bucksport, has gone up and is one of the assistants over there with Brian Reynolds. And so they played Dexter and lost to them, and Dexter is a very good team. But we went and watched that game, and Houlton's big. They have some really talented kids, and they run some shotgun, spread zone read type things, some power eye. And they've got a couple of physical guys up front that we'll have to be able to take care of, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, they beat Washington Academy.
They did, yes.
So
and that was a close game. I watched the tape on that yesterday. And Washington Academy had a couple of turnovers. They gave up a kickoff, the opening kickoff for a touchdown, and so I think the final score was 31-21 or something like that.
Yeah.
But you take out the opening kick and a couple of turnovers that they had, and it was a really close game. So,
what do you work on in practice this week?
We work on going back to just the basics, running the ball and blocking up front, and just working on some base plays and getting those to work really well. I think we just need to get back. I thought going up to Orono, looking at what they had, it was going to be difficult for us to run the ball because they were so big.
Yeah.
So I tried to do a little bit more with the pass game, but we didn't even have time to throw the ball. I mean, they were through just about the same time Connor got back on his second step, so there was literally not much we could do in the pass game either. So I think it's just a matter of focusing on our core plays and working on those, and then on the defensive side, just the defensive scheme and having Declan White and Andrew Brown back will make a big difference. But pass coverage and then getting the big guys up front just to maintain their areas of responsibility and fire into the offensive line and do what they need to do to to stop things up in the middle. So,
what's the mood of the team? Upbeat?
Yeah, they're still really good. I mean, they know what they faced. That's a team with 16 seniors, and
I remember that from MDI 2 years ago, against Waterville, and I mean it was senior day, and it literally took a half hour because they had so many seniors, and now Waterville's just a down program, and when you rely on those seniors, it's boom or bust.
That's right, and that's when it comes to football or pretty much any varsity sport in high school. If you're heavily laden with seniors, chances are you're probably going to be pretty good. And the antithesis of that is that if you don't have a lot of seniors, you're not, you're going to struggle. And that's kind of where we are. We have 3 seniors that start for us, and that's it, and the rest are juniors, sophomores, and freshmen. So, it's a learning curve, and just to give you a good example of that is when Connor got hurt, I sat down next to him on the bench, and I said, what do you think? And he goes, my God, Dad, I've never seen anything like this before in my life. He said, it's just there's no time to do anything. He was pretty much shell-shocked. It's just they're so big, it's so fast, and no way to even compete with him on the field at the level that we're at right now. So, when you take a handoff and you barely have time or you take a snap and you barely have time to hand the ball off, it's a rough night. So
there's such a difference physically between a 17, 18-year-old and a 15, 16-year-old. I mean, it's, listeners just have, if they've got sons, just, look at your boy and remember what he was like when he was 15, 16, just, starting puberty, and now as a 17, 18-year-old, the difference is a good 25 pounds and a ton of muscle and about 4 inches.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing is the game experience, and on the play that he got hurt on, we just called for a go route to get Javon deep down the field, and there was a couple minutes left, and just trying to get the ball moved down out of their end zone, and we weren't doing it with a run. So I talked to him before he went out with a plan. I said, this is a 1, 2, 3 throw type of thing. If it's not there, just throw it away. And of course, coming from middle school where, you could go out there and outrun everybody on the field, 1, 2, 3, if it's not open, well, I'm just going to pull it down and run. And
right.
So instead of listening and having that game experience at the high school level, it was 1, 2, 3, nobody's there, I'm going to run with it.
Right.
And, everybody else on the field is as fast as you are, so you don't get very far. And so
that's why you listen to Dad.
And that comes from game experience.
Right.
Yeah, so it's and certainly I'm not always right with the things that we call on the field, but when it comes to getting rid of the ball or getting out of bounds, it's usually take that advice and do it. Don't run around out there too long. So
exactly. All right, Coach. Have a good week. We'll talk to you on Thursday and rest up, get everybody healed, and we'll talk to you on Thursday.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, Chris. Okay, sounds good.